Blood drips from High Commander Vrax's mandibles as he sinks them into the still-beating heart of the Taurian ambassador. Punishment for suggesting the Taurian Empire's expansion had limits. The assembled council members watch in silence, their expressions unreadable to all but their own kind. This is how the Galactic Coalition, an alliance of 6 species forged through conquest and fear, maintains order across 17 star systems. In the aftermath of the execution, the Council's mood shifts to excitement when Science Director Calzin projects a holographic anomaly above the center table. Impossible energy signatures, the insectoid scientist clicks, manipulating the display to zoom in on a previously dismissed solar system. Something has changed. The system had been catalogued centuries ago as primitive, barely worth harvesting, but now strange power fluctuations pulse from its third planet. War Minister Drekath laughs, a sound like grinding metal. Perhaps the monkeys have discovered fire. Little do they know that what humans have discovered will shatter the Coalition's dominion forever. The crystalline chamber of the Coalition Council gleams with bioluminescent light, casting prismatic patterns across the assembled representatives. Each member represents not just a species, but a conquered empire, each with their own anatomies, cultures, and technological specialties, unified only by Xorlian dominance. Bring me the historical survey data. Vrax commands, his exoskeleton shifting colors to signal authority. A hovering drone materializes beside him, projecting the archived records of Sol's system. Last comprehensive scan, 342 cycles ago, the artificial intelligence reports. Primary species, carbon-based bipedal mammals. Technology assessment, pre-spaceflight. Threat assessment, negligible. Resource value, minimal. Recommendation, periodic monitoring only. Vrax's secondary eyes narrow, while his primary pair remains fixed on the holographic Earth. Yet now they're generating power signatures that our long-range sensors can detect. Impossible. The Morican representative, a gelatinous being suspended in a hovering containment field, pulses with skepticism, perhaps an error in the scanning array. The outer systems have been neglected since the Proxima campaign. I supervise the recalibration myself. Calzin hisses defensively, her chidnous limbs clicking against the crystal floor. These readings are accurate. The third planet shows evidence of fusion technology, orbital constructs, and she hesitates, mandibles twitching nervously. Speak freely, Director. Vrax commands, his tone leaving no room for reticence. There are energy patterns consistent with dimensional shielding technology that should be beyond any species at their development stage. A ripple of unease passes through the chamber. Dimensional shielding was rare even among Coalition species. It had been pioneered by the Xorlians themselves only 3 centuries earlier. War Minister Drekath rises from his crystalline throne, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber. You suggest these primates have achieved in 300 cycles what took other species millennia. His laughter resonates like an avalanche. More likely they've stumbled upon some derelict technology. Perhaps one of our lost survey vessels. Regardless of the source, Vrax interrupts. Protocol is clear. Any pre-coalition species that acquires advanced technology must be immediately assessed and, if necessary, harvested before they become problematic. He gestures to a holographic star chart, highlighting a squadron position near the Sol sector. Admiral Zrek's scout fleet is conducting exercises in the neighboring system. Divert them immediately. Standard first contact protocol. Observation, intimidation, and subjugation. The Council unanimously signals agreement, the casual consensus of predators who have never known defeat. As the session concludes, only Science Director Calzin remains troubled, her compound eyes fixed on the rotating image of Earth. Something about the energy pattern seems deliberate, almost like a beacon or a lure. Director. Vrax's voice interrupts her thoughts. You appear concerned. Calzin's antennae flatten submissively. Merely cataloging research priorities, Commander. The humans will provide interesting specimens for the biological archives. But as she exits the chamber, Kelzin can't shake the feeling that the Coalition might be making a grave miscalculation. Admiral Zrek's scout fleet emerges from hyperspace at the edge of Sol system, cloaking devices active, standard procedure for studying primitive species before harvesting their resources. The Admiral stretches his crystalline exoskeleton in anticipation of an easy mission, but nearly shatters it when the sensors reveal the truth. Earth bristles with satellites, stations, and electromagnetic chatter. Impossible, Zrek whispers, watching the vibrant planet spin. Our last survey showed them barely harnessing electricity. The tactical officer suggests peaceful contact, but Zrek, eager to impress the Council, chooses intimidation instead. Let them know their place in the cosmos. The Xorlian destroyer targets an American military satellite, vaporizing it with a casual plasma burst. Zrek broadcasts across all Earth frequencies. Primitive species of Sol 3, witness the power of your new masters. On Earth, the satellite's destruction lights up defense systems worldwide. In the Pentagon's crisis room, General Winters slams down a phone. The Chinese are reporting the same. So are the Russians. On screens worldwide, the alien message plays. And something unexpected happens. Humanity, fractured by politics and borders for millennia, experiences a singular emotion: unified rage. Magnification factor 12. Zrek commands, his secondary eyes blinking rapidly as they process the visual data. The main view screen zooms in on Earth's night side, revealing sprawling city lights and the constant movement of aircraft. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Vex, manipulates the sensor controls with his upper appendages. Energy signatures indicate primitive fission power generation, rudimentary satellite communications, and... He pauses, compound eyes widening. Admiral, I'm detecting orbital structures. Multiple structures. Classification: unknown. They don't match any known primitive development pattern. Vex's exoskeleton flushes with confusion. The structures appear to be listening. Zrek clicks his mandibles in dismissal. Primitive observation posts. Nothing more. But doubt creeps through his thoracic cavity. The Xorlian Empire's meticulous species development index had never shown such an anomalous jump. A civilization shouldn't advance from atmospheric flight to orbital structures in mere centuries. Orders, Admiral. The weapons officer inquires, her carapace gleaming under the bridge's bioluminescent lighting. Zrek considers the mission parameters. Standard protocol dictated observation before contact, but the unexpected development level changed the equation. The Council would expect him to assert dominance immediately, especially War Minister Drekath, whose favor Zrek had been currying for promotion to the Inner Fleet. Target one of their primitive military satellites, he decides. Something significant enough to demonstrate our superiority, but not valuable enough to cripple their infrastructure. We want them functional for processing. The weapons officer selects a target, an American military communications satellite in geosynchronous orbit. Target acquired. Fire. A pulse of violet energy lances from the destroyer's forward array, completely vaporizing the satellite. On the view screen, Zrek watches with satisfaction as debris scatters across Earth's upper atmosphere, creating brief, bright streaks. Open a broadcast channel. All frequencies, all languages we can extract from their communications networks. The communications officer complies, establishing a connection that penetrates every electronic device on the planet capable of receiving transmissions. Zrek rises from his command throne, his exoskeleton shifting to its most impressive chromatic display, deep crimson overlaid with pulsing gold patterns signifying conquest. Primitive species of Sol 3. He begins, his translator module converting his clicks and chirps into the dominant Earth languages. I am Admiral Zrek of the Galactic Coalition. You have been permitted to develop on your world through our benevolence. Now you will witness the power of your new masters. Your resources, your technology, and your biological distinctiveness will be harvested for the greater glory of the Coalition. Resistance will result in planetary sterilization. You have one planetary rotation to prepare your leadership for surrender protocols. He ends the transmission with a satisfied click of his mandibles. Prepare the harvesting protocols and begin cataloging their military capabilities. This will be the simplest subjugation in my record. On Earth, chaos erupts as the alien message reaches every television, radio, computer, and mobile device simultaneously. In the White House Situation Room, military leaders from all branches crowd around satellite imagery showing the alien vessels. Mr. President, General Winters reports, her face grim as she sets down the secure phone. We've confirmed with Moscow, Beijing, New Delhi, London, and Tel Aviv. They've all received the same transmission and observed the destruction of our Sati Storm 7. The President's face remains impassive, betraying none of the turmoil beneath, and the Prometheus Protocol. All participating nations report ready status, sir, awaiting your authorization. The President exchanges glances with his national security advisor. After 70 years of preparation, they finally showed up. He takes a deep breath. God help us all. Execute Prometheus. Madam President, it's time for Protocol Prometheus. The words hang in the Situation Room like a death sentence. The President's face hardens as she inserts a unique key into the console before her, matching the simultaneous turns by the Russian President and Chinese Premier in their own bunkers. Around the world, 5 other leaders perform the same ritual. Deep beneath the lunar far side's Daedalus crater, kilometers of dormant machinery awaken. Commander Elena Vasquez, her dark eyes reflecting holographic displays, stands in the heart of Artemis Base, humanity's greatest secret. For 50 years, retrieved alien crash technology has been reverse-engineered here by a black-budget multinational organization called Sci-Fi. Not even the UN knows its full capabilities. Begin the countermeasure sequence, Vasquez orders. Her tactical officer, a former Israeli commando, initiates a system that seems to defy physics itself. In orbit, Admiral Zrek is preparing a second demonstration strike when his ship violently lurches. Warning alarms shriek as strange energy patterns, unlike anything in the Coalition database, envelop his fleet. What trickery is this? He demands, mandibles clicking in agitation. Emergency retreat. But the quantum trap has already closed, a technology so advanced that the Corleans can't comprehend how primitives created it. On every view screen across his trapped fleet, a woman's face appears. Vasquez, her expression cold as lunar night. You should have said hello first, she states simply, before the feed cuts. Behind her, in massive underground hangars, crews rush to their stations as 27 sleek warships power up their cores. The ships bear no resemblance to conventional human aerospace design. These vessels were built for one purpose only, to fight beings exactly like those now trapped above. The Artemis complex extends 16 kilometers beneath the lunar surface, a labyrinth of research facilities, manufacturing plants, and military installations hidden from Earth's population for generations. In Command Center Alpha, Commander Elena Vasquez reviews the final activation sequences as klaxons sound throughout the base. Quantum trap deployment successful, reports Major Abramovich, her tactical officer. Coalition vessels attempting emergency maneuvers, but remaining contained within the field parameters. Vasquez nods, her expression betraying nothing of the momentous nature of this day. The day humanity finally reveals itself to the galaxy. Status of the fleet. All 27 vessels report ready for launch. Crew complements at 100%. Weapons systems online. Neural interfaces synchronizing. On the massive central display, the trapped Xorlian vessels appear as bright points of light within a shimmering energy field. Ambassador Shan, the only non-human present, watches with his 3 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of anxiety in his species. Your trap worked perfectly, Commander, he notes, his translator converting his ultrasonic speech to English. My people warned the Council about Earth centuries ago, but they refused to believe that crashes were anything but accidents. Their arrogance is our advantage, Vasquez replies, placing a hand briefly on the ambassador's scaled shoulder. Your people's sacrifice won't be forgotten. Shan's people, the Altarians, had been secretly crashing ships on Earth for generations, providing humans with the technology needed to defend themselves against the Coalition. Their own world had been harvested centuries earlier, their survivors scattered as refugees across the galaxy. Begin final launch preparations, Vasquez commands, stepping onto the raised platform at the center of the command deck, and open a channel to the trapped vessels. The communications officer complies, and Vasquez faces the camera, her expression composed but fierce. The feed connects to every screen aboard the Xorlian ships. This is Commander Elena Vasquez of Earth's Centennial Defense Force. Your unprovoked attack and threats against our world constitute an act of war under both your laws and ours. She pauses, letting the translation matrix work. You are currently contained within a dimensional anchor field. Any attempt to break free will result in immediate destruction of your vessels. She allows herself the smallest of smiles. We've been preparing for this day since your scout ships first began crashing on our world in 1947. You should have learned our history before threatening us. Humans don't surrender well. The feed cuts, and Vasquez turns to her bridge crew. Signal the launch bays. Release the fleet. Throughout the massive underground complex, launch bay doors begin to open, revealing hangar after hangar of vessels unlike anything publicly known to exist. Their hulls bear the insignia of Earth's major powers alongside the unified Centennial emblem, a shield surrounding Earth, with the Latin phrase beneath, Numquam iterum soli, never again alone. The first vessel rises on silent anti-gravity drives, technology salvaged from a crash in Kazakhstan decades earlier. As it emerges onto the lunar surface, its hull gleams silver-black under the distant Earth's light. In the Pentagon's secret bunker, General Winters watches the launch feeds with a mixture of dread and pride. God help us all, she whispers as the fleet takes formation. The secret we've kept for generations is finally out. The lunar surface splits open along hidden seams, releasing columns of blue thrust fire as humanity's secret fleet rises from its underground berths. Unlike the biological technological hybrids of Xorlian design, these ships are brutal poetry. Jagged angles meeting smooth curves, exposed weapon hardpoints gleaming with deadly purpose. Aboard the flagship EDS Vigilant, Admiral Thomas Chen feels the neural interface sync with his consciousness. His grandfather had been at Roswell in 1947, the first human to touch alien metal. Now Thomas commands a vessel built from 7 different extraterrestrial technologies, seamlessly integrated in ways their original creators never imagined. All ships report combat ready, Admiral, his XO announces. The bridge crew, selected from elite military units worldwide, maintain perfect discipline despite the historic moment. Humanity has prepared for this day since before our grandparents were born. Chen addresses his fleet, voice transmitting to all 27 vessels. We've recovered their crashes, studied their technologies, and built something they could never anticipate, a hybrid force designed specifically to defeat them. The fleet accelerates toward the trapped Xorlian squadron, their hulls absorbing solar radiation and converting it to additional power, a technology reverse-engineered from a 1976 crash in Siberia. From the Vigilance command chair, Chen opens a channel to the alien vessels. No video, just a voice transmission, calm, measured, and utterly confident. This is Admiral Thomas Chen of Earth's Defense Fleet. You targeted and destroyed an unarmed satellite and threatened our world with slavery. I'm obligated to inform you that this violation of our sovereignty constitutes an act of war. He pauses, allowing the translation matrix to catch up. In human history, those who fire first rarely understand what they've awakened. You're about to learn. The Vigilance bridge hums with controlled tension as neural interface tendrils connect to ports at Admiral Chen's temples, spine, and wrists. Unlike conventional command systems, the ship responds directly to his thoughts, filtered through safeguards and amplified by quantum processors. His consciousness expands, merging partially with the vessel's systems, a sensation that took years of training to master. Neural synchronization complete, announces Lieutenant Commander Miyamoto, her own interface cables glowing faintly with bioluminescent pulses. Fleet command network established. Through the neural link, Chen perceives not just his own ship, but receives tactical data from all 27 vessels simultaneously. The sensation would overwhelm an untrained mind, like hearing 27 orchestras playing different compositions. But Chen has spent decades preparing for this moment, his brain enhanced with subtle modifications to process the information torrent. Formation Delta, he commands, the thought impulse transmitted instantly to all vessels. The fleet responds as one organism, arranging into an asymmetric attack pattern that no coalition tactical manual would recognize, based on wolf pack hunting behaviors rather than conventional space combat doctrine. Captain Rivera, his XO, approaches with a reverential expression. "Sir, I've served in 3 navies across 40 years, but I never thought I'd see this day." Her eyes track the holographic representation of the approaching alien fleet. "My father was at Trinity site when they tested the first integrated propulsion system. He'd be proud to see this." Chen nods, understanding the weight of generations culminating in this moment. They sacrificed so we could be ready. Everyone who kept the secret, everyone who worked in shadows. Through viewports and on tactical displays, the fleet can now visually observe the trapped Xorlian vessels. Their biological mechanical hybrid design, curved, organic shapes with crystalline growths and pulsing energy conduits, contrasts sharply with the angular, utilitarian aesthetics of Earth's ships. Weapons status, Chen queries through the neural link. Graviton lance charged to maximum capacity, responds the weapons officer, a former Swedish Special Forces operator. Phase disruptors aligned to Xorlian shield frequencies. Kinetic accelerators loaded with tungsten-depleted uranium composite rounds. Each weapon system had been specifically designed to counter Xorlian technology, based on decades studying recovered crash materials. The Graviton lance had been reverse-engineered from a crashed harvester ship in Antarctica. The phase disruptors incorporated technology from 3 different species, modified by human engineers to exploit weaknesses in coalition shielding. Communications, broadcast on all frequencies, maximum penetration, Chen orders. As the channel opens, he straightens in his command chair, his uniform, a dark blue with the Centennial insignia, immaculate despite the neural interface connections. His voice, when he speaks, carries the weight of human history, all our wars, our struggles, our perseverance distilled into measured, controlled words. "This is Admiral Thomas Chen of Earth's Defense Fleet. You have violated sovereign territory, destroyed military assets, and threatened our species with enslavement." His eyes narrow as he continues. "For 78 years, we have prepared for this encounter. We have studied your technologies, your tactics, your weaknesses. We have built this fleet for one purpose: to ensure that humanity never faces extinction at the hands of conquerors." A slight smile crosses his face as he delivers the final line. "You came seeking easy prey. Instead, you found wolves." The transmission ends, and Chen gives the order that humanity has rehearsed for decades. "All ships, weapons free." Admiral Zrek's laughter echoes through his command bridge. "They send toys against our might." His officers join in the mockery as tactical displays show the approaching human vessels, smaller than coalition destroyers and lacking the biological grace of Xorlian design. His chief weapons officer targets the lead human ship. Their hulls appear to be primitive metallurgy, Admiral. One shot should vaporize them. The massive cannon charges, its energy reaching critical levels before releasing a stream of concentrated dark energy, enough firepower to crack a small moon. The beam strikes the human vessel dead center. And then the impossible happens. The beam fractures around the ship like water around a stone. The human vessel continues its approach, completely unarmed. Fascinating design. comes Admiral Chen's voice over the comm. "You're using Centauri flux technology. We recovered one of those cannons in 2037. Built countermeasures by 2039. Before Zrek can respond, the human fleet executes a maneuver that defies the laws of physics as the Xorlians understand them. Ships splitting into coordinated attack patterns that no single species could pilot. What the aliens don't realize is that each human vessel carries 5 pilots neurally linked through interfaces, allowing reaction times and coordination impossible for single consciousness species. The first Thorlian cruiser explodes as a human destroyer executes a targeting sequence that shouldn't exist, hitting 7 critical junction points simultaneously with surgical precision. How are they? A Xorlian officer begins before another explosion rocks their flagship. Zrek watches in horror as human vessels pivot and strike with strategies pulled from Earth's ancient military texts. The pincer movements of Alexander the Great, the naval tactics of Admiral Yi Sun Sin, the aerial combat patterns of the RAF. The humans aren't fighting according to galactic conventions. They're fighting with thousands of years of warfare experience, using technologies salvaged from a dozen alien cultures, modified in ways that defy conventional understanding. Within 30 minutes, 15 of Zrek's 19 ships lie in ruins. The humans haven't just won. They've revealed that they've been preparing for this exact scenario for generations. Target their primary weapons array, Zrek commands, his voice steady despite the growing unease in his thoracic cavity. The Xorlian flagship's main cannon, a dark energy projector capable of reducing small moons to rubble, swivels toward the approaching human vessels. Sub-Commander Vex's exoskeleton pulses with warning colors. "Admiral, their approach pattern is unusual. I can't match it to any known combat formation. Irrelevant. Their technological limitation cannot withstand genuine Thorlian firepower." Zrek's mandibles click in annoyance. "Fire when ready." The massive cannon charges, drawing power directly from an artificial singularity in the ship's core. The bridge bathes in violet light, as reality itself warps around the weapon's muzzle. With a thunderous discharge, a stream of concentrated dark energy lances toward the lead human vessel. The entire bridge crew watches in expectation of the ship's immediate disintegration. Instead, the impossible occurs. The beam strikes the human vessel dead center and splits around it, like water flowing around a stone. The energy dissipates harmlessly into space, leaving the approaching ship completely untouched. Silence falls over the Xorlian bridge, broken only by the persistent warnings of proximity alarms. "Admiral," the weapons officer whispers, "they absorbed our primary weapon." Chen's voice crackles through their communication system. "Fascinating design. You're using Centauri flux technology. We recovered one of those cannons in 2037 from a crash in the Pacific. Built countermeasures by 2039. Zrek's secondary heart begins palpitating with the first feelings of genuine fear he's experienced in his 3-century military career. All vessels, evasive pattern Theta 9. Deploy countermeasures. Launch all fighter squadrons. His commands come too late. The human fleet executes a maneuver that seems to defy physics. Ships moving in perfect coordination, splitting into smaller attack groups with impossible precision. What the Xorlians don't comprehend is that each human vessel carries multiple pilots neurally linked, their consciousness partially merged to create reaction times and coordination that no single mind species could achieve. The Xorlian support cruiser Inevitable Dominance erupts in a spectacular explosion as a human destroyer targets 7 specific junction points simultaneously, points that, according to Xorlian ship design principles, should be unknown to any outside species. "How are they?" begins the tactical officer before a violent impact rocks the flagship, sending several crew members tumbling across the deck. Zrek grips his command console, watching in mounting horror as the tactical display shows his fleet being systematically dismantled. The humans aren't using standard combat patterns. They're employing strategies that seem pulled from multiple sources, adaptive and unpredictable. A Xorlian destroyer attempts to retreat, only to be caught in a pincer movement that Shrek recognizes from historical military archives, a maneuver from some primitive Earth conflict called the Battle of Kenne. They're using ancient ground warfare tactics in three-dimensional space. Vex observes, his voice betraying disbelief, but modified to account for zero-gravity physics. Another explosion lights up the view screen as three more Xorlian vessels succumb to the human assault. The brutal efficiency is unlike anything in Shrek's extensive combat experience. These aren't the actions of a recently space-capable species. This is the coordinated might of a civilization that has been preparing for this exact scenario for generations. All vessels, Shrek commands, his voice now carrying unmistakable urgency, concentrate fire on their flagship. If we can decapitate their command structure. His orders are cut short as the main power grid fails, emergency lighting bathing the bridge in blood-red illumination. Sir, the tactical officer reports grimly, 15 of our 19 ships have been destroyed or disabled. The remaining 4, including this flagship, have sustained critical damage. Shrek stares at the approaching human vessels, the terrible truth finally dawning. They knew exactly how to fight us. They've been waiting for us. Shrek's flagship drifts powerless, surrounded by human vessels that methodically disable rather than destroy its remaining systems. The Admiral watches through cracked view screens as strange boarding craft attach to his hull, cutting through defenses that should be impenetrable. Execute the honor protocol, Shrek orders, reaching for his ceremonial blade. Death before capture is the Coalition way. His second-in-command moves to comply when the ship's atmosphere suddenly changes, a subtle compound that renders Xorlian physiology temporarily docile. Another human trick. When Admiral Chen strides onto the Xorlian bridge, he doesn't wear the expected battle armor. Instead, he appears in a simple dress uniform, unarmed except for a small sidearm. Behind him walk representatives from 7 Earth nations, a calculated display of human diversity. You're not what we expected, Chen says, approaching the immobilized Shrek. A translator device renders his words in perfect Xorlian. Then again, neither were we. Execute me and be done with it. Shrek hisses, fighting against the pacifying compound. Chen smiles, a gesture Xorlians find disturbing. That would be the Coalition way, wouldn't it? Thankfully, we're not you. What follows stuns Shrek more than defeat. Instead of torture or execution, the humans conduct a formal diplomatic meeting aboard his own vessel. They explain Earth's history of warfare, showing how conflict between human nations actually accelerated their development rather than hindering it. They reveal knowledge of 17 other alien species the Coalition has yet to encounter. We've been studying the stars since before we could reach them, a human diplomat explains. We know about the Coalition's harvesting protocols. We know how you treat lesser species. When they finally release Shrek with his surviving crew and a partially repaired ship, the Xorlian is fundamentally shaken. The humans provide medical treatment to his wounded, supplies for the journey home, and a quantum data core containing a message for the Coalition Council. We prefer peace, Chen tells him at parting. But make no mistake, we've prepared for war against your kind for generations. Choose wisely. The journey back to Xor Prime takes agonizing weeks. When Shrek finally delivers his report and the human data core to the Council, their reaction is predictable. Rage, disbelief, and wounded pride. Impossible. War Minister Drakath roars. No species could defeat Xorlian warships, especially not primates. The science director's analysis of the combat records brings terrified silence. They knew our weaknesses, every technology, every tactic. They've been studying us. For how long? The Council's final vote is unanimous. The Grand Armada, 10,000 ships from all Coalition species, will annihilate this human insult from the galaxy. Boarding tubes connect to the Xorlian flagship at 17 precise points, bypassing defense systems with surgical accuracy. Shrek's bridge crew, still reeling from their devastating defeat, draw ceremonial blades as the first airlock cycles. "Remember your oaths," Zrek commands, his own weapon gleaming in the emergency lighting. No Kthorlian warrior surrenders. The inner doors hiss open, and Zrek braces for armored combat units. Instead, Admiral Chen walks calmly onto the bridge wearing a formal naval uniform, adorned with gold insignia, but no battle armor. Behind him walk 7 humans of visibly different ethnicities and physical characteristics, each wearing the diplomatic colors of their respective nations. The Kthorlians freeze in confusion. In coalition conquest protocols, captured enemy leadership is immediately executed, preferably in painful, demonstrative ways. "Atmosphere modification complete, Admiral," reports one of Chen's officers through an earpiece. The Kthorlians should be experiencing reduced aggression response. Chen nods, approaching the immobilized Zrek without apparent concern. A small device at his collar activates, translating his words into perfect Kthorlian speech patterns. "You're not what we expected," Chen says, studying the alien commander with genuine curiosity. "Then again, neither were we." Zrek struggles against the pacifying compound contaminating his ship's air supply, his mandibles clicking in suppressed fury. "Execute me and be done with it, human. I will not beg." Chen's smile is unsettling to Kthorlian sensibilities, showing teeth is a death threat in their culture. That would be the coalition way, wouldn't it? Thankfully, we're not you. What follows confounds every expectation Zrek has about conquest and defeat. The humans set up a formal diplomatic meeting in his own command center. They'd bring medical teams that treat injured Kthorlian crew members. They restore limited power to life support systems. The human representatives take turns explaining Earth's complex history, displaying holographic recreations of ancient battles and technological developments. "Our species evolved through conflict," explains Ambassador Okafor of the African Union. "Unlike the coalition model of a dominant species subjugating others, our competition drove innovation. Our wars, tragic as they were, accelerated our development." A Chinese diplomat continues, "We've been studying the stars since before we could reach them. We know about the coalition's harvesting protocols. We've documented how you treat lesser species." Zrek's secondary hearts flutter in alarm. "Impossible. Your world was primitive when last surveyed." "Primitive," a Russian general laughs. "We detected your observation vessels centuries ago. Did you think those crashes were accidents? Some were. Others were helped along." The implication stuns Zrek into silence. The humans hadn't just defeated his fleet, they had been manipulating coalition intelligence for generations, presenting a facade of primitive development while secretly preparing for this inevitable confrontation. After 6 hours of presentations, the humans deliver their final shock. Instead of claiming Zrek's flagship as a prize or executing the crew, they announce they're releasing them. "Your ship has been partially repaired," Chen informs him. "Enough to reach your nearest outpost with life support intact." "Why would you do this?" Zrek demands. "It defies all military logic." Chen hands him a small quantum data core. "Deliver this to your council. It contains our terms and a message." As Zrek accepts the device, Chen leans closer. "We prefer peace, Admiral. But make no mistake, we've prepared for war against your kind for generations. The choice is yours now. Choose wisely." "They're coming." Commander Vasquez's hologram flickers in the Oval Office, transmitted from 50 light-years away. 10,000 ships, 7 weeks. The president leans forward. "How solid is this intelligence?" "Perfect." Vasquez's smile is cold as vacuum. "Because I'm standing in their war room right now. While the coalition assembles its Grand Armada, humanity executes an operation decades in planning. When they released Zrek's ship, they didn't just repair it. They transformed it into humanity's greatest intelligence asset. Quantum entanglement trackers, microscopic infiltration drones, and genetically engineered nanospies dispersed throughout coalition space. Commander Vasquez leads SPHCTR team. 30 covered operatives with bodies modified to appear as various coalition species, using technology recovered from a crash in the Gobi Desert in 1994. They can temporarily alter their DNA structure and maintain alien appearances. On Xor Prime, Vasquez, disguised as a mid-level Xorlian technician, sabotages fleet coordination systems. On the Draxun homeworld, her operatives introduce subtle errors to weapons manufacturing processes. Across 17 systems, human agents move unseen, their existence deemed impossible by coalition security protocols. Meanwhile, Earth undergoes transformation. Civilian shipyards convert to military production with astonishing speed. Admiral Chen's analysts process combat data from the first engagement, identifying weaknesses to exploit in coalition tactics. They still think we're primitives who got lucky, Chen tells his war council. Their arrogance blinds them to what we truly are, a species that evolved through countless wars, that sees conflict as a catalyst for advancement. When the Grand Armada finally launches, they expect to face the same fleet as before. What they don't realize is that Earth now fields 300 vessels, each incorporating improvements based on the first battle. Most devastating of all, thanks to Vasquez's team, humanity knows the Armada's exact trajectory, tactical plans, and communications protocols. In human history, Chen tells his commanders as they prepare their trap, the most dangerous predators are those that can think like their prey. We've been studying them for generations. They've been studying us for weeks. As the Coalition Armada approaches the Kuiper Belt, they have no idea they're following a path meticulously prepared for their destruction. The holographic projector in the Oval Office renders Commander Vasquez with startling clarity despite being transmitted across 50 light-years. Her appearance has changed dramatically. Chitinous plates cover her skin, compound eyes replace her human ones, and segmented limbs move with inhuman precision. The perfect Xorlian disguise. They're coming, she reports, her voice still recognizably human despite coming from alien vocal organs. 10,000 ships, 7 weeks until they reach Sol's system. The president studies the tactical projections hovering beside Vasquez's image. How solid is this intelligence, Commander? Perfect. Vasquez's alien features form a distinctly human smile, unsettling in its incongruity. Because I'm standing in their war room right now. She adjusts the holographic feed to show her surroundings, the central planning chamber of the Xorlian military command on Xor Prime. High-ranking officers move around her, completely oblivious to the human spy in their midst. Operation Trojan Horse is proceeding exactly as planned, she continues. When we released Zrek's vessel, we didn't just repair it. We transformed it into the most sophisticated intelligence platform ever deployed. The president nods grimly. The nanite infiltrators. Dispersed throughout coalition space, we've established 37 deep cover agents across 17 systems, with access to everything from military installations to civilian infrastructure. This operation represented decades of planning. Since the 1994 recovery of an infiltration vessel in the Gobi Desert, Tiny L scientists had been developing technology that could temporarily alter human DNA to mimic various alien physiologies. Vasquez's SPHCTR team, 30 elite operatives drawn from special forces worldwide, had undergone extensive genetic modification to withstand the transformation process. What's your assessment of their capabilities? The Joint Chiefs Chairman asks from his position beside the President. Vasquez's compound eyes shift in a pattern indicating concentration. They're committing everything. All 6 coalition species are contributing vessels. The Xorlians alone are fielding 6,000 warships, including 3 dreadnoughts they've pulled out of mothballing. She transmits a data packet containing schematics and tactical assessments. However, their coordination is compromised. My team has introduced subtle errors into their navigation systems, communications protocols, and weapons calibrations. They don't realize it yet, but their fleet will be operating at approximately 70% efficiency. On Earth, extraordinary transformation unfolds as the planet prepares for the coming conflict. Civilian orbital shipyards switch to military production. Dormant manufacturing facilities inside the asteroid belt activate, producing advanced weaponry at unprecedented rates. In the Centennial Command Center, Admiral Chen reviews simulation after simulation, identifying patterns and weaknesses in coalition tactics. The data from their first engagement provides invaluable insights. They still think we're primitives who got lucky, he tells his assembled war council. Their arrogance blinds them to what we truly are, a species that evolved through countless wars, that sees conflict as a catalyst for advancement rather than a hindrance. The tactical display shows Earth's growing fleet, no longer 27 vessels, but 300, each incorporating improvements based on the first battle's data. Most importantly, Chen continues, thanks to Commander Vasquez's team, we know their exact trajectory, tactical plans, and communications protocols. We're not just preparing for their attack, we're preparing their battlefield. He addresses the commanders with solemn intensity. In human history, the most dangerous predators have always been those that can think like their prey. We've been studying them for generations. They've been studying us for weeks. As the Coalition Grand Armada launches with tremendous ceremony, their propaganda broadcasts proclaiming the coming extinction of the upstart human species, they follow a predetermined course through space. What they don't realize is that every parsec of their journey has been meticulously prepared for their destruction. Supreme Fleet Commander Draxur stands triumphant on the bridge of the inevitable conquest, the Coalition's mightiest dreadnought at the heart of 10,000 warships. The formation emerges from hyperspace at the edge of Sol system, weapons hot, ready to reduce Earth to cosmic dust. Display the primitives' defenses, he commands, anticipating a brief, satisfying slaughter. The tactical display activates, and Draxur's 4 hearts nearly stop. Earth's defenders aren't clustered protectively around their homeworld as expected. They're everywhere, dispersed throughout the system in precise formations. Not 100 ships, but 300. And something else. Massive structures at strategic locations, space stations unlike anything in Coalition records. Impossible, Draxur whispers. They couldn't build this in the time since. The truth hits him like a physical blow. They already had this, all of it. Before he can issue orders, the space around his armada distorts. The human trap, centuries in the making, springs shut. The structures activate. Massive gravity generators that disrupt the Coalition's faster-than-light capabilities and communication networks. Simultaneously, quantum fields similar to those that trap Shrek activate, dividing the armada into isolated pockets that cannot support each other. What follows isn't a battle but an execution. Human vessels attack with uncanny coordination, ships moving in concert as though sharing a singular consciousness. Coalition captains panic as their weapons find no targets, their shields fail to specialize human attacks, and their formations crumble into chaos. Most terrifying to the aliens, despite commanding vessels from dozens of nations, humans fight as one unified entity. There is no exploitation of command division, no breakdown in communication chains, just perfect, brutal efficiency. They're not just coordinated, Draxur realizes too late. They're playing us like game pieces. Human vessels have herded the surviving Coalition ships into a massive sphere formation, weapons trained inward. At their center, the inevitable conquest floats powerless, its weapons disabled, its engines dead. A new ship approaches, larger than any human vessel yet seen. The EDS emissary slides into position before Draxur's command view screen. When communication activates, the alien commander expects to see Admiral Chen. Instead, he faces 13 humans, the leaders of Earth's most powerful nations, seated together around a circular table. Behind them stand representatives of every human culture and ethnicity. The message is clear. Despite their differences, humans unite against external threats. I am President Helen Chen of the United Earth Government. The central figure speaks. You have witnessed what a fraction of our capability can do to your most powerful fleet. A document appears on all coalition ships simultaneously, translated into each species' language. This is the Earth Doctrine. President Chen continues. It establishes that we claim no territory beyond our solar system. We seek no conquests. We desire trade and peaceful exchange of knowledge. Her expression hardens, but any aggression against Earth or human interests will be met with total and absolute response. There will be no second chances. As coalition survivors limp home, the message spreads across the galaxy. A species once deemed primitive has shattered the most powerful fleet ever assembled. The age of coalition dominance has ended. The universe will never be the same. The coalition Grand Armada emerges from hyperspace in perfect formation. 10,000 warships arranged in the sacred geometric pattern that had heralded the extinction of 17 civilizations before. At its center, the dreadnought Inevitable Conquest gleams with bioluminescent power conduits and crystalline weapons arrays, a vessel so massive it generates its own gravitational field. Supreme Fleet Commander Draxur's exoskeleton ripples with anticipation colors as he surveys his command deck. The most elite officers from all 6 coalition species operate with perfect efficiency, their movements synchronized through generations of conquest. We have arrived at the edge of the Sol system, announces his navigation officer. No detection of our presence. The primitives remain unaware. Draxur's mandibles click in satisfaction. Excellent. Display the human defenses. The holographic tactical display activates, scanning the system for Earth's meager forces, and the Supreme Commander's 4 hearts nearly stop in sequence. Earth's defenders aren't clustered protectively around their homeworld as expected. They're everywhere, dispersed throughout the system in precise formations that make no sense according to coalition battle doctrine. Not the 27 vessels from Admiral Zrek's report, but hundreds. And something else. Massive structures at strategic locations throughout the system. Space stations of designs unlike anything in coalition records. Impossible. Draxur whispers, his secondary eyes blinking rapidly in distress. They couldn't build this infrastructure in the time since Rek's encounter. The material requirements alone ruled. The truth strikes him with physical force. They already had this. All of it. They've been preparing for centuries. Before he can issue new orders, the space around his armada distorts in familiar patterns, the same quantum trap technology that had ensnared Zrek's squadron, but on an impossible scale. Simultaneously, the mysterious structures activate, projecting overlapping fields that disrupt the coalition's faster-than-light capabilities and fracture their communication networks. Evasive maneuvers. Draxur commands, but the words barely leave his mandibles before the human counterattack begins. What follows isn't a battle but a methodical dismantling. Human vessels move with coordination that defies explanation. Ships reacting to threats before they materialize, moving in concert as though guided by a single mind. Coalition captains panic as their carefully planned formations dissolve into chaos, their weapons finding no targets, their shields failing against specialized human attacks that exploit weaknesses they never knew existed. Most terrifying to the coalition forces, there is no breakdown in the human command structure. Despite operating vessels from dozens of different Earth nations, the humans fight as a perfectly unified entity. Every attempt to exploit potential divisions fails. They're not just coordinated. Draxur realizes as his flagship's primary weapons grid fails. They're playing us like game pieces on a strategy board. Within hours, what remains of the Grand Armada has been systematically herded into a massive sphere formation, surrounded by human vessels with weapons trained inward. At their center, the Inevitable Conquest floats powerless, its weapons disabled, its engines dead. A new ship approaches, larger than any human vessel yet seen. The EDS emissary positions itself before Draxur's command view screen. When communication activates, the alien commander expects to see Admiral Chen or perhaps Commander Vasquez. Instead, he faces 13 humans seated around a circular table, the leaders of Earth's most powerful nations. Behind them stand representatives of every human culture and ethnicity. The message is unmistakable. Despite their differences, humans unite against external threats. I am President Helen Chen of the United Earth Government. The central figure speaks, her voice automatically translated into all coalition languages simultaneously. You have witnessed what a fraction of our capability can do to your most powerful fleet. A document appears on the command screens of all surviving coalition ships, perfectly translated into each species' language. This is the Earth Doctrine, President Chen continues. It establishes that we claim no territory beyond our solar system. We seek no conquests. We desire peaceful trade and exchange of knowledge. Her expression hardens. But any aggression against Earth or human interests will be met with total and absolute response. There will be no second chances. As the coalition survivors are permitted to limp home, a new reality dawns across the galaxy. A species once deemed primitive has shattered the most powerful military force ever assembled. The age of coalition dominance has ended. The universe will never be the same.